Welcome everyone. We'll be starting shortly. Please have a seat. Welcome.
Hi Alice, how are you?
Good. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. So we missed. Okay, it's top of the hour, so I'm going to be starting soon. Yeah. Start? Yeah, I think we should start. Okay, so do we need to close the door so we need to close the door so we can start? Am I doing I'm doing this while I'm seated, right? I'm doing this while I'm seated, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start now. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this very important, relevant COP27 discussion on scaling up forest landscape restoration in Africa. I think forest landscape restoration needs no definition. We all know about it. We've heard about it. We are all aware that our governments have committed to scaling up forest landscape restoration. So I will not even go into it. But I'm really delighted and honored today to have our ministers here to talk to us, to share some reflections about this. Let me start first by talking about the agenda we have for you today. We will start with remarks from our honorable ministers, and I welcome you again. We will have a presentation from my colleague Fran here, who is a practice leader for forests, who will also talk to us about the forest landscape restoration program in WWF. Then we will show a video that also has our program. And then we will have reflections from other speakers. We have someone from the Commonwealth and from the Commonwealth and someone from the indigenous community. And then we will have, at the end, we will do the cutting of the ribbon or the launch of the program itself. So without further ado, let me first introduce who our speakers are. I am the moderator. My name is Alice Rueza. I am the Regional Director for Africa for WWF. We are joined here, of course, as I said, my colleague Fran here from the Forest Practice, the Honorable Minister Selemani Jafo, the Minister of Environment in Tanzania. I better get your right name. We'll be joined by Mr. George Munchuru, the Director of Cooperation and Planning in the Ministry of Forests from Cameroon. And with, let me make sure I get your name right, from the Commonwealth Secretariat. Thank you very much for being here. Okay, so I will start with you, Excellency, Honorable Minister from Tanzania. Her Excellency, Madame Samia Suluhu Hassan, was among the heads of states who attended the events here. And I know she launched an amazing event here on power. At the moment, the key take-home message was to have a carbon trade framework that has just been approved. Congratulations. So what's next for Tanzania then? Is carbon trade going to be an incentive to promote forest landscape restoration? And if so, how will this be put into practice?
Thank you, moderator, and my colleagues here. As I said that I'm Jafo, a Minister of State from Tanzania and a Vice President office dealing with the Union and environmental matters. And you have said that Madam President, a day before yesterday, was presented her speech representing how Tanzania is ready or prepared on the matter of carbon exchange in Tanzania. Generally, that's what the journey that we started on the review of our policy, because we previously used to have a policy of 1997, but it was having some gaps. But on 2021, we decided to review our policy, and we have the new policy of 2021 that tackle the matter of the climate change, and particularly on the matter of related to carbon. So what we have to do, because there is a still challenge in the world now, although the issue of emission, especially from developed countries, is so high, but the part of developing countries, they don't have the access of having resource mobilization on related to the carbon exchange. So as Tanzania, we decided to come with the guideline. First, we developed the guideline, and already now we have the regulation now. The regulation was gazetted in the last week before the COP27. So when the Madam President talked about the presence of carbon credit for the Tanzania, it means that he meant that we, as a reference point, maybe other African countries can learn from Tanzania. So I think on these pavilions, all the pavilions, just go and ask various countries, do you have the regulation? Do you have the guideline? Maybe they say we don't have the guideline, we don't have the regulation. So we are the ones who are having the guideline, we are the ones who have the regulation. But apart from that, when you go to our regulations, just tack on various parts of the country. For example, to tack on the institution, for example, we have TFS in Tanzania, the ones who are mandated to keep the forest. But we have the local government authorities. And the local government authority, we have a district council. Apart from that, the regulation just go to tackle even to the village level, the ones who keep the forest. So we do believe that when we are going to the process of the carbon exchange, as part of incentive, how to make a resource mobilization, we believe that Tanzania will be the reference point for other African countries to come to learn to Tanzania. That's why in our pavilion, we just welcome many people to go to visit and to see the guidelines, even how we just decided to go with our regulation. And when you look at the regulation, there is various sections. Apart from that, on those sections, there is the issue of how maybe different people will be engaged on the carbon credit business. It's our expectation that because if we don't involve the local people on the issue of carbon credit, because it means that we are going to fail. So our guidelines and our regulations it tend to cut across on various sectors. Because on the issue of carbon credit, we don't expect to work on the issue of the natural forest. We also just tackle on the agroforest, because we do believe that even the farmers who maybe produce cashew nuts, or the farmers who having the avocados, or the ones who have produce a coffee, it means that they can engage on the carbon credit. So the guidelines and the regulations, it cut across in various sectors. Apart from that, we also look on the blue economy, plus how the mangroves can be added on the carbon credit business. So we believe that through the carbon credit, Tanzania will have a good chance to make a resource mobilization, especially part of financing the various interventions related to climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and congratulations. That is indeed a very comprehensive guideline covering everything. And I like the point you make about reaching the local communities, because one of the themes I've had a lot is about how the funds are not reaching at the local level. So it's very good that you've tackled that. Congratulations. And indeed, other African countries will be learning from you. Okay, so I now move to the Honorable representative from Cameroon, Georges Muncharou. My question to you is, Cameroon has pledged to restore 12 million hectares of degraded land and landscapes under the FAR 100 by 2030. This is a very ambitious target. Please let us know what strategies you have in place and how partners such as WWF can work with you.
Thank you, Madam Alice. We are happy to be here because WWF, we've been involved in Cameroon. We have a deep relationship and an old relationship. And when we decide, because Cameroon was present when Germany was initiating the Bomb Challenge initiative, where Africa decided to restore 100 million hectares. And from that, we have in Africa a meeting where each country was involved to present what is his ambition. And we, Cameroon, we decided that we are going to restore 12 million hectares. We know it was really ambitious to have 12 million hectares, but we know in Cameroon, those who know Cameroon, we have really two big parts. We have the northern part of Cameroon where we have Savannah, and the southern part of Cameroon where we have the forest. And finally, with the support of GIZ, we went to the two areas and evaluate what needs to be done. And in the northern part, finally we evaluate that we can restore 8 million hectares, and in the southern we can have 4 million hectares. And after that, we started to look at partners. And we know in Cameroon, generally, we have the problem of land use. So when our strategy was first to work on the area where the state have the property before going out of the land owned by the state. And to work on the northern part, because the northern part is really critical because you are facing also with the revolution, the front of desert. So we discussed with some of our partners, and the first was the GIZ, who come and support us, but we finally see that the amount, the area where they could work from with the money was not really important. We was around 200,000 hectares, while we were looking for 8 million hectares. So we think at that moment that it was good to look for another partner. That's why when you invite us here, we are really happy to be involved, but it was for us an occasion to say, why not doing it with WWF? Are they available to come and support us in the northern part? Because we have been working with WWF on protected area, and finally in Cameroon, we think that they was just interested in the forest area, and now we are inviting WWF to come to work with us in the Savannah area, and normally to have in their agenda the restoration of land in that area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. And we gladly accept your invitation. It's been a pleasure, of course, for WWF to partner with Cameroon, as you have said. And congratulations on already identifying the places where you're going to be restoring and also doing the evaluation. Well done. We look forward to this collaboration. Thank you. So I'll now hand over to my colleague here, Fran Price, to talk about the FLR program. So actually you can hear about what it's about.
Thank you, Alice. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. We are hearing from every corner of this COP27 that we are almost out of time. We need to work together to help create a climate-resilient Africa by 2030. A big part of climate resilience will be restoration. And this forest landscape restoration program is WWF's contribution and partnership to the commitments and to the needs of restoration across 9 countries in Africa. And we are committing to work with AFR 100, with the governments, with other partners, with the communities on 3 pillars. Is the sound okay? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So those 3 pillars are, 1, working on the enabling conditions. So the policies and the legal frameworks, et cetera, with governments and with other partners. The second is on the financial mechanisms. So the business models and the finance that needs to flow to restoration work. And the third is the most important, and is, although they're all critical, is implementation and getting to the ground and working with the communities and other partners to scale forest landscape restoration. So those are the 3 pillars of the program. We are so excited to partner with all of you and with many more to make this happen. It's going to take all of us to work together to bridge the gap between what is promised and what is needed. And so we are today pledging to work with all of you on that endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fran, for that. And the representative from Cameroon clearly asked for that, and you've had the pledge to work with you on enabling conditions, on financial mechanisms, and on implementation. We will now watch a video about the program before we continue.
WWF is an international conservation organization, has been working in Tanzania for about 30 years now. And basically what WWF does in Tanzania is to support the government to deliver conservation initiatives. Forest landscape restoration is a global agenda to make sure that we have sustainable interventions on the ground. We definitely need to work with communities. We need to work with indigenous people. We need to work with private sector. We need to work with other NGOs and CSOs at landscape level.
I am Inosa Jundoket. I am coming from DRC, working for WWF. I am part of forest landscape restoration. Our priority for this year is to draft and implement a consensual work plan with all the stakeholders at the national level.
My name is Tinapi Madiri. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm part of the forest landscape restoration team. For Zimbabwe, our priorities as we go back would be to rally everyone towards forestry restoration. Would want to embrace government, community, civil society organizations, and all relevant stakeholders so that we bring forest land restoration to fruition.
My name is Abel Siampari, the Forest Landscape Restoration Focal Point for Zambia, part of the Africa FAOR Initiative Program, which has just been launched today. Out of this session, there are some takeaway activities that we've actually been able to pick as a country. One of which is actually to strategically plan for the subnational restoration opportunity assessment method for Zambia, to follow footsteps of the other countries that have actually been able to do this within the region, within the 9 countries in Africa. But beyond developing and undertaking the ROM, which then will lead us to developing the national FAOR strategy, the critical components we have thought should actually be an issue that we need to seriously consider is to develop an action plan or the implementation plan, which is supposed to be costed, to to understand the actual investment we may require for us to do quality forest landscape restoration.
We are all witnessing the impact of climate change. We are all affected differently though. So my call is we need to take the forest landscape restoration initiative as a responsibility of everyone. Not only the governments, not only NGOs, not only CSOs. Let's put our hands together, let's support each other to make sure that we own and deliver the intervention at landscape level collectively, and we claim also impact at scale collectively.
Thank you very much. You have heard the Forest Landscape Program. I know you have so many questions, but before I open it up, I have two reflections from the floor before everybody asks. And I'll start with my colleague from the Commonwealth Secretariat, MX. Please, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Alice. It's an incredible pleasure to be with WWF today as you launch this program. Particularly enthused because it feels like coming back. I used to work with WWF, and to see this program from inception and to what it is today is really very exciting. So congratulations to you and your team. Many of you might not know the Commonwealth is made up of 56 member states, and 25 of those are in Africa. And so Africa is a very important part of the Commonwealth family. Among those, we do have some of incredibly forested countries in the continent, including Gabon, who recently joined us, and Mozambique, Tanzania, Kenya. And so we very excited to see what WWF is doing. This comes at a very opportune time for us because at the recent Commonwealth Heads of Government in Kigali, Rwanda, the leaders of the Commonwealth gave us a new mandate to work on a Living Lands Charter. And that charter really tries to bring together three things: the biodiversity concerns, the climate change concerns, as well as the land degradation concerns that all of us hold at this important juncture in our history as humanity. And so as WWF launches this, we want to say to you that as the Commonwealth, we're very ready to work together with you in the member states where we are on these three themes. We already carry out incredible work around climate finance, and we have a climate finance access hub that's based, headquartered in Mauritius, but works across the continent. Last year at the COP in Glasgow, we also had a tripartite memorandum of understanding with the UNCCD, Auda NEPAD, and ourselves to work together on an Africa land initiative. We feel that this initiative comes in and allows us, enables us to develop partnership with WWF, with UNCCD, with Auda NEPAD to look after FLR 100, to push specifically forward some projects that will make a difference for the continent. I'm also very excited that recently we've been working with SADC, the Southern African Development Community, on a SADC-wide project. A lot of the countries in SADC are Commonwealth countries, and we're supporting the development of the Great Green Wall initiative for Southern Africa. We already have advisors in a number of countries in Southern Africa Zambia, and Eswatini, and several other places within the subcontinent of Southern Africa, and we would look to work with WWF and other partners on forest land restoration, and particularly because for us, we realize that forest landscapes are not just landscapes for biodiversity, which has always been an important aspect for the Commonwealth since its formation. And along the way, 1989, we've had statements around biodiversity, strong statements from our leaders on that. But forest landscapes are also places where people live. And we look forward to working with you to create forest economies that make a difference for people, that make a dent on climate change, that make a dent on the development agenda for Africa. We believe that we can create good examples going forward together, working with the governments, working with the communities, and we would like to not just congratulate WWF on an amazing and very exciting initiative, but also invite WWF to work together with us and the governments within the Commonwealth family in pushing this agenda forward. It's time to act, and we are happy to move with you from ambition into incredible action. Thank you.
Thank you so much, MX. Those are wonderful words. And we're definitely looking forward to collaborating with the Commonwealth Secretariat on all of these exciting engagements. Before I open it up, I will allow Severin to say a few words. Severin is the face of this program. He's been promoting it. So I'll let him say a few words then before we open up for questions. Thank you.
Madam Moderator, and I want to build on what Fran said. Our program is crafted around 3 pillars, and the first pillar, which is about enabling environment, issues related to policy and a legal framework, we haven't been sitting and waiting. Since the Bond Challenge was announced and the Africa 100 also started, we started supporting the 9 countries to put together legal instruments and policies to support restoration. We have been part of the process in Tanzania from the assessment, the restoration opportunities assessment to inform the FR strategy. And now we have a draft strategy for Tanzania, which is about to be launched in the near future. We also, we were part of revising the NDCs for Tanzania to make sure that restoration is part of this legal document. In Kenya, we have supported also mean report in some of the counties. These reports are informing forest landscape restoration strategies in Kenya. We also did the same in Madagascar, where we have draft Rome report to inform the strategies, but currently we are working with Zambia to do the Rome, but also to start supporting restoration strategies. The second pillar, which is around promoting finance and market mechanisms or incentives, we have developed business models at landscape level. This is like a generic, but was tailored to Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. So these business models are being piloted in these 3 countries, but we expect to learn from these countries and inform or scale up these business models to other countries in Africa, the remaining countries, 6 countries. And just to share with you, I don't remember whether Fran did mention this. This program is covering 9 countries, and this is Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Madagascar, Mozambique, Zambia, Zimbabwe, DRC, and Cameroon. And so in the third pillar of the program, we want to work with governments where we have physical presence in these 9 countries to restore. Our contribution as WWF is to restore 13.5 million hectares by 2027. So far we have identified in the 9 countries a total of 1.8 million hectares which is under restoration. So this is just a start. We are making progress. We believe that we might by 2025 will be in a position to have all the 13.5 million hectares identified and under restoration. So this is what I wanted to share as progress we have made so far since we started this program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Severin. Great, 9 countries, 1.8 million hectares under restoration, enabling conditions, financial mechanism, implementation. So great program happening here. I'm now opening the floor for questions to any of our speakers here, the honorable government ministers and others. Can I see some show of hands? Yes. Do we have a microphone going around, or should I give you? Okay. Thank you. Please introduce yourself and ask questions.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Bongile Mavimbela from the SADC Secretariat. And for me, it's not a question, but it's just a comment to complement what our ministers have shared and what Mxolisi has shared. As the Southern African region, we are composed of 16 countries, and we are all part of the Great Green Wall Initiative for Southern Africa. We are far behind, and we're learning a lot from Cameroon and the other Sahara-Sahel countries that have been implementing Great Green Wall for the past decade. So in the Southern African region, all our countries are in a process of developing national action plans for executing Great Green Wall activities, and we would like to forge support from other regions and other institutions for financial support for capacity building, but also for partnerships in implementation of our Great Green Wall. We already have friends like the Commonwealth, like the AUC, and other programs like Afro 100, which we are implementing in collaboration with. So WWF is also has an MOU with SADC, and one of the activities that we would like to push forward under that MOU is the implementation of the Great Green Wall by restoration throughout our region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sibo. We definitely look forward to collaborating with SADC on this, and congratulations on that Great Green Wall for Southern Africa and starting that. Okay, I have 2 questions here. I have the gentleman here and then Simon. I can walk.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Paya Sianda from the University of Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Of course, one of the possible windows in which we can enhance forest management is through carbon credit. But I think there are quite a number of issues that we need to work out before we reach to a point where we can all be happy and smile. One is the issue of cultural barriers as well as tenure, land and forest tenure issues. I think theoretically issue of carbon credits sounds great, but I think there are lots of other things we need to work out. But now the issue is, can we hear some lessons from some institutions or organizations where they have been able to operationalize carbon credit, bearing in mind some of these barriers? But where is the market, by the way? Suppose a farmer at a local level has a forest and has done all what is supposed to be done. Can he or she walk out to a certain office and knock a door and say, I need to sell my carbon?
Great. I think I'm going to probably give the minister to say something about that, because the minister, I don't know if it was before you came, he talked to us about the new carbon trading framework for Tanzania, which I think answers some of these questions. And then I will also get Simon to talk about the carbon credits program that we're doing in Uganda. And I think if there was someone from the DRC office where we have already sold credits, it would also be good to give an example. But let me give the minister first a chance to answer the question about cultural barriers and land tenure. And then I'll come to you, Simon. Okay? So in your question, you must include a response to that. Thanks.
Yeah, I want to answer the very good question from Professor. And you know, if you have academia in the discussion, you just widen the discussion, because they're the ones who make a research and know how is going on at the ground level. On our system, as we said that in Tanzania, we have started to develop the guideline. And I'm so happy because, first of all, I want to note the contribution of WWF. You know, in Tanzania, WWF making success stories. For example, when I was looking at picture, I saw one of the very interesting Kazimzumbu forest. I said, Mr. Karungura took the picture of the Kazimzumbu forest. So, but on that part, Tanzania, why decided to come to this? Why do we want to have the guideline and the regulations? We, Tanzania, almost about 32% of our total land is reserved. But we have about 48.1 million hectares of trees. So a concept of carbon credit has added value for Tanzania. But on the part of barrier, those are some issues which we have to address during the implementation of the carbon. That's why there is a guideline. But in Tanzania, we have a success story because we have a center, carbon credit center. And I do believe here there is a professor. Can you stand up, please? Hey, this is the encyclopedia of carbon credit in Tanzania. The one, Professor Zahabu. You can say golden professor, Professor Zahabu in Swahili. So we have a reference point. We have a place whereby our institution, where is the one who have a technical know-how on how to process the carbon credit in Tanzania. So we have a benchmark to start. And I do believe that most of people, they will come later on in Tanzania to learn how to make this kind of business. I know that anything that is a challenge, some sort of challenge, but that's the part of learning. And we do expect to use our institution, especially university. I'm so lucky that professor here is the one among the very important processes in our country who will help us a lot on the issue of all climate change, carbon credit, and so as we have what we can say, we have a resource person, a very resource person in Tanzania to scale with the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Maybe I'm going to ask Simon, your neighbor from the East African community, to tell you that Uganda is already doing this and to tell you how it's happening. Simon.
Thank you, Alice. I'm called Simon, the acting country director of WWF Uganda. So, in regard to the carbon project that Alice talked about, initially we got connected with the FLR program, and we are doing restoration, forest landscape restoration in a number of settings, including community lands. But from last year, we got a partnership through WWF Denmark with the Velux group of companies, and we are working with the National Forest Authority to sequester 1 million tons of carbon equivalent in the next 20 to 30 years. And because of time, let me talk a few things regarding this carbon. For carbon to work, one of the things we need to put in consideration is exclusivity, transparency, and involvement of local communities, taking into consideration their environment and social safeguards aspects. Otherwise, when you involve communities to plant trees in land that they normally use for food production, that becomes a challenge, and they can begin to hurt the program. But I wanted to ask the question to the minister. Tanzania has been considered as one of the success stories in designing policies and implementing them on natural resources especially. What has been your reasons for success, and what can other countries in East Africa and Africa learn from you? Thank you, Honorable.
Minister.
Thank you very much. You know, we used to have our late Madam Nyerere, who just made a foundation for the country. You know, on the part of preservations, the ones who decided to make sure that the land in Tanzania are well reserved. When you look on the East Africa country, only Tanzania you can find some area which are protected. That's point number one. But we decided to come with a policy, very strict policy that help to make sure that as a country we have the same procedures, especially on land management and the other issues, unlike other countries. So that's the success why Tanzania have achieved on that area. Yes.
Thank you so much. Well, we will be learning from Tanzania. Laura here has a question for Cameroon.
Thank you. My name is Laurent. I don't know how to position myself vis-a-vis Cameroon, so I live in Cameroon. Actually, I was very much excited to hear from the representative of the minister here, the interest in working with us. Our engagement with the Cameroon government, particularly northern part, is a really long history. And definitely for WWF, it would be a pleasure to go back, extend the kind of work that we've been doing, because we're very much more involved in park management and so on and so forth. Yeah. Now, my question to the representative of the minister, a brother and friend, is to, you heard about some of the success story, particularly from Tanzania, from the minister, and from Uganda. Maybe it's a double question to him and to WWF. I think this is an opportunity for a shortcut for them, learning from others, maybe to really catch up on what we could see as a delay in developing and implementing their program. So how ready are you from the Cameroon government to really take advantage of those success story, learn from other countries and so on? And you from WWF, how much interest and availability do you have to support this effort from the Cameroon government?
Thank you very much, Laura. I will give you a chance to answer, and then Fran, maybe you can answer about how ready are you to support the government of Cameroon. Yeah? Okay, go ahead.
Let's say we started here to say that you have an ambitious program. That means we adopt the concept. If we adopt the concept, that means we are really open to implement it. And what we are looking now is really, first, who can support us? Second, where are the success stories? And we heard that we can go in Uganda and Tanzania to go and learn. This is a good news for us. And what I can say is the government is really committed to all the issues related to climate change. And we do recognize that for the future of the northern of Cameroon, restoration is the best opportunity to see how the area can be green. So let's say we are open.
Thank you very much. So WWF is ready and Cameroon is ready. That is a perfect partnership. I would like to give a chance to the representative from the indigenous community, but I will let you start first and you introduce him. Talk a little bit about something and then introduce him.
Right, thank you, Madam Moderator. WWF is ready to work in Cameroon, and just a week I was in Cameroon. We had the launch of this program in Cameroon, and we had the General Secretary of the ministry joining us. Then the next morning we flew to Garawa, the northern part, the northern region of Cameroon, where we supported a mean Rome for that region to work with communities and other partners, including WCS in that area, including GIZ, to support restoration in the northern region of Cameroon. This is Garawa. So we are there and we are active. So, and just a special note to the late Kama, my brother, my friend, Ol Marabu, is in this room, and we like to hear what he says about conservation and about WWF as well. Please.
Thank you, my brother Severin, and I'm so honored to speak in front of my Minister for the Environment. And thank you for being with us, and also for all of you for being available for this session. I think this is a very important area that we need to work on, especially the area of restoration of landscape, because right now we facing challenges of climate change. But before climate change, we were experiencing the weather variability, and as pastoral people, the Maasai, the hunter-gatherers, and the others, we have been living in harsh environment because we have an indigenous knowledge of weather forecast. We identify clouds, and most of these clouds, as we talk now, are disappearing. So the disappearance of the rain clouds, which are originating from the Congo Basin, coming all the way to Tanzania and other parts of Kenya, is going to affect the lives of our people. So the restoration of the landscape will help us restore the trees, but also we need to come with a strategy of ensuring that each family has a tree, and each family is taking care of a tree. And we use most of our knowledge, our traditional knowledge, our indigenous knowledge, and the knowledge of the modern science as well. So this program is a big welcome, and is a very important program for Africa and the other parts of the world, and we hope very much that with support from all people, from the community level to the government to the international community, we will have strategies that will restore not only the landscapes but also our lives. In our country, the Mount Kilimanjaro, which is a standing alone mountain with the ice is melting, and it is because of global warming. But again, before talking of global warming, we talk of loss of forest. And what is causing the loss of forest is the issue of energy. So we shall talk of renewable energy sources and cheap energy. And I think this will help us, people, because when we work on reducing poverty among our people, this will be a strategy that will help us restore our landscapes, our forests in a sustainable way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to use my moderator powers to say we need to talk about women. Come on. How are women going to be benefiting from this forest landscape restoration? And I will not ask a woman, this time I'm going to ask a man, and I'm going to ask the professor from Tanzania here, from the Carbon Center, to tell me, if the Carbon Center is doing a lot of good things, I want you to tell me, what are you doing for women? Professor Zahabu.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm delighted to see my sister, Alice, for a very long time. What I can say is that we are supporting the government of Tanzania to come out with these carbon, to attract carbon projects. And let me highlight that we attract the carbon projects in all the sectors, ranging from energy, waste management, industrial processes, agriculture, and forestry. And to me, in all these sectors, women are at the forefront. Take it energy, take it waste management, take it whatever. They touch women. And in all the strategies we are developing, together with the guidelines and the regulations the minister talked about, they all consider gender considerations to all of its dimensions. Thank you.
Good answer. Good to see you, Professor Zahabu. Women are at the forefront of everything, so nothing can happen without women. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, and I know I had two other questions. You have to make them quick, okay? So I'll give you a chance.
Thank you very much, Reta. My name is Donald Imari from Tanzania, very poor. I'm very interested in this aspect of restoration, but I have not heard about one of the major challenges that we are facing in Africa, population growth. When you look at the agricultural production, output is increasing because of area expansion. So meaning people are clearing forests, pastoralists are increasing numbers of livestock. My mzee here will confess, but that is having a very significant impact on the trees. What is WWF going to do to promote this restoration while at the same time addressing this mega challenge?
Ooh, that's a big one. Population is the big elephant in the room because we want to have children. You know, like I know our president wants us to have children. Children are wealth. So how are we going to handle that? I want to give that to the ministers. You know, they need to sort this out. So, ministers. Oh no, WWF does not work with population. You have to talk about that.
Yeah, population vis-a-vis restoration. That's a very good question. And then this is the challenge that as a community we have to put a proper strategies. For example, currently we announced in Tanzania our total number is about 62.8 million people. And the growth rate is about 3.80%. It means that the populations tend to increase. Yes, it's a big challenge. That's why we need this kind of project like WWF and others to come to find solutions to the community level. How are we going to practice a good agronomic practice to make sure that we are increasing productivity, but we are making restoration of our forest? That's very important.
Thank you. Let me pass on to your neighbor there from the Commonwealth. You represent 54 countries. Say something about what we're going to, if you have some ideas on this, and before you hand over to the minister from Cameroon.
Population is an important subject, and it oftentimes raises emotions when people talk about that. I think a couple of things I would say about that. Number one, I think for a lot of Africa, I think first of all, we need to be thinking about what we're doing to empower women to be able to plan their families and give them that power to do so. So I think WWF and many of us working in this space need to be thinking about very integrated solutions to these problems. You cannot just address, forest landscape restoration on its own. You've got to think about what are you doing for women to enable them to plan their families well. What are we doing to create forest economies that support women and families? What are we doing to ensure that land tenure and land planning is better going forward?
Thank you. Please give it to for the last word from Cameroon.
What I would just say is continue to be a big challenge. I'm not sure we are going to give a good answer here, but what we think is that everybody should have it in mind that you cannot continue to think about development, even think about the restoration without taking into consideration what people who are there, their livelihood and else. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And from the moderator, keep girls in school. Fran, let's launch this. Thank you very much. We will invite the ministers to stand with all of us. And
Please
our
come. I think we invite the ministers first, and then we invite our speakers.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, in the presence of our honorable ministers and our Regional Africa Director, Alice Ruessa, and on behalf of the 9 countries in which we're working, and WWF and all of our partners, I am so honored to hereby launch the Forest Landscape Restoration in Africa initiative. Yay! Now, please, let's come up. Adam, will you come up too? You are one of our speakers. Wonderful. It's going to take all of us and so many more to do this work. And why don't we all stand together? Yes, okay. And a big round of applause.
Thank you,
and thank you for everyone for joining us.
Thank you
and
for
to
joining.
Yes. And
So
to the women,
thank you.
yes.
Thank you very much.
Oh, but don't forget that we have a woman president in Tanzania.
Oh yes,
keep it in
oh
mind.
yes, oh yes, oh yes. I think Professor Zahabu, you forgot to mention that was the one thing in the back. Thank you all very much for joining us, and we look forward to collaborating with all of you in our Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative. Have a good rest of the COP. Thank you.
We have a lot to celebrate.
Fran,